Hi everyone. I'd like to clarify a few things, a few of my motivations for being an atheist and joining the atheist cause, why I try and convince people to make the same choice, and why sometimes I do it a little bit too passionately. I'd like to read an excerpt from The God Delusion, yay, by Richard Dawkins. If you haven't picked it up, pick it up. It's an awesome book. I'd like to read the excerpt because I think he hits the nail right on the head when it comes to what he calls the spectrums of probability. Because there are several different levels of belief when it comes to the existence of God. And the 7 levels, are thus: strong theist, 100% probability of God. In the words of C.G. Jung, I don't believe, I know. 2. Very high probability, but short of 100%. De facto theist. I cannot know for certain, but I strongly believe in God, and I live my life on the assumption that He is there. 3. Higher than 50%, but not very high. Technically agnostic, but leaning towards theism. I am very uncertain, but I am inclined to believe in God. 4. 50%. Completely impartial agnostic. God's existence and non-existence are exactly equiprobable. 5. Lower than 50%, but not very low. Technically agnostic, but leaning towards theism. I don't know whether God exists, but I'm inclined to be skeptical. 6. Low probability, but short of 0. De facto atheist. I cannot know for certain, but I think God is very improbable, and I live my life on the assumption that He is not there. 7. A strong atheist. I know there is no God, with the same conviction as Jung knows there is one. I consider everyone in the groups from 1 through 4 at least a little out of their minds. I include 4s in that range because they treat possibility and probability as if they were even. Just because something cannot be proved or disproved does not give existence and non-existence even weight. Religion is our first and worst attempt to explain the phenomena we see in nature with a single hypothesis. This hypothesis states that if you can't explain it, it has to be God. This idea was and still is supported by recycled myths, backed by authoritarian control, and specifically designed to control people and keep them from asking questions. It has evolved over the centuries to require the presence of a mental illness called religious faith, which is caused by a combination of lack of critical reasoning, religious dogma, and the God hypothesis. When religion and the God hypothesis are exposed to science and modern thinking, modern reasoning, faith and religious faith, ends up being nothing more than the surrender of the only thing that separates human beings from every other animal on this planet. Apathy, naivete, and willful ignorance are a few things that bug the hell out of me. And so I speak out about them whenever I can. If you fit into group 1 or 7 on the probability spectrum, I consider you to be willfully ignorant. If you are an agnostic who does not speak out about the insanity of religious faith, I consider you a little bit apathetic. If you're an agnostic who is naive and says that religion and religious faith doesn't affect my life, consider this. These are some of the most powerful people in U.S. government. They determine America's policies at home and abroad. American policies affect not just Americans, but the entire world. And the policymakers in America are affected by, you guessed it, religion. I'm not saying that religion has or will have a negative effect on these people's lives or even play a part in their decision making. But considering the historical significance of religion's effect on political leaders, it needs to be said that religious faith's absence should be required for reasonable decision making in a world as diverse as our own. Good luck, everyone.